It started as an ordinary evening flight. The cabin lights were dim, the hum of the engine steady, and passengers quietly reading or dozing off. Captain Harris adjusted his controls, unaware that tonight the skies would turn against him. 35,000 feet above the ground, the plane suddenly shook violently. A jolt ran through the cabin. Overhead bins rattled, and a few screams echoed as the seatbelt signs flashed. "Ladies and gentlemen, please remain calm," the co-pilot said, his voice tight with tension. But even he knew this was no ordinary turbulence. In the cockpit, alarms blared, instruments flickered. The plane's system was failing, hydraulic pressure dropping, engines misfiring. Captain Harris gritted his teeth, gripping the controls. "We're losing power fast," he muttered. The autopilot had disengaged. Meanwhile, in the cabin, Emma, a young woman traveling home, clutched her armrest as the plane pitched sharply. A father held his crying child, murmuring reassurances he didn't feel. Across the aisle, an elderly man whispered a prayer, and the entire cabin seemed suspended between panic and disbelief. The captain radioed air traffic control, his voice strained. "Mayday, mayday. We're losing control. Requesting emergency landing immediately." Silence answered him, punctuated only by the whine of failing engines. Outside, storm clouds churned violently, illuminated by sudden flashes of lightning. The plane's wings scraped turbulence, and a shudder ran through its frame. A feeling of helplessness gripped everyone on board. The world below seemed distant and unreachable. Minutes stretched like hours. The plane dipped, then climbed, then dropped again. Flight attendants held onto carts, trying to calm passengers, but fear was a storm of its own. Emma noticed something odd. The plane seemed off course. Where should have been open sky, there was a sudden wall of clouds, dark and unyielding. Captain Harris's face was pale, sweat dripping. "We can make it," he said to himself. A mantra more than a promise. He remembered a small airstrip below, barely visible through the storm. It was risky, almost impossible, but it was their only chance. The descent began. Passengers held their breath. The plane rattled violently, lights flickering, oxygen masks dangling. Emma closed her eyes and whispered, "Please." Seconds felt like a lifetime. The wheels screeched as the plane touched the ground, bouncing over the rough strip. Metal groaned and sparks flew. With one final shudder, the plane skidded to a halt, smoke rising from the landing gear. Silence followed. Then slowly, the cabin erupted in cautious cheers. Outside, emergency vehicles rushed toward the runway. Captain Harris exhaled deeply, voice shaking. We made it." Emma looked around at the other passengers, some crying, some hugging, all alive. The terror of the skies had passed, leaving behind a mix of relief and disbelief. That night, the flight would be remembered not for the ordinary, but for the moment when courage, chance, and human spirit collided at 35,000 feet. And somewhere in the dark clouds above, the storm seemed to whisper, "Trust can be fragile, but hope is stronger."